The night I met her, I wasn't looking for a miracle. I was just a man trying to escape the sound of my own failure. My name is Nathan Grant, founder and CEO of Titan Systems, the tech giant that was supposed to be untouchable. But inside my glass tower office overlooking Los Angeles, everything was falling apart. Our billion-dollar baby, a logistics AI platform called Atlas, was bleeding out from an invisible wound, a bug so elusive it mocked every brilliant mind I'd hired. 3 weeks of sleepless nights, millions spent on diagnostics, and my lead engineers graduates from MIT, Stanford, you name it, were empty-handed. We had 72 hours before our biggest client pulled out and sued us into oblivion. I remember slamming my laptop shut, the endless scrolling lines of red error codes burned into my vision. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my coat, waved off my driver, and just walked through the damp streets of downtown, neon lights flickering like dying hope. That's how I stumbled into a little place called the Rusty Fork, a diner that looked like it hadn't changed since the 80s. It smelled of fried onions and burnt coffee, and for some reason, that was exactly what I needed. I sat in the corner, ordered a steak I knew I wouldn't eat, and a glass of 25-year-old Macallan they definitely shouldn't have had, but did. I was halfway through my drink when I noticed her. A waitress, maybe mid-20s hair, pulled back into a no-nonsense ponytail, moving with quiet precision. Her name tag read Lena. There was something about her focused alert, like her mind was always running ahead of her hands. I watched her slip through the kitchen doors, and 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Curiosity pulled me up from the booth. I walked past the kitchen entrance, and when the swinging door opened, I saw her. Lena wasn't on a smoke break. She wasn't scrolling through Instagram. She was hunched over a battered laptop in a dim corner, her fingers flying across the keyboard like she was playing a symphony. And I knew that rhythm. I'd been coding since I was 12, and I knew the difference between someone following a tutorial and someone bending a machine to their will. Her screen was filled with dense, elegant code. I squinted, and my heart skipped. It looked eerily like the same threading protocol my engineers had been wrestling with for weeks. I forgot why I'd even walked back there. I pushed through the kitchen door, ignoring the shouts of the chefs, and walked straight up to her. "Excuse me," I said softly. She jumped like I'd fired a gun. "Sir, you can't be back here. Is there a problem with your meal?" "The problem?" I said. My eyes locked on her laptop as a recursive memory leak in a multi-threaded AI platform. "And you were just working on a predictive allocation manager, weren't you?" Her jaw dropped. She didn't even try to deny it. Her eyes narrowed instead, sharp and cautious. "Who are you?" I extended a hand. "Nathan Grant." Recognition flickered in her expression. Everyone in tech knew my name. She glanced from my face to my tailored suit, and the puzzle pieces clicked. "Titan Systems," she breathed. "Atlas." I nodded. "We're sinking Lena. My entire division can't find this bug, and I just watched you write a protocol that looks like the key we've been missing." She looked at me like I was insane. "I'm a waitress," she whispered. "And 5 minutes ago, you were the best programmer I've seen in a decade," I countered. "Come to my office tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'll pay you whatever you want. Just look at it." I slid my business card onto her laptop. She hesitated, fear and something like hope warring in her eyes. I walked away before she could refuse. The next morning, Lena walked into Titan Tower like she was stepping into another world. She wore a simple black blouse and slacks, clutching a worn-out backpack. The lobby was a cathedral of steel and glass meant to intimidate, but she didn't run. I met her at the elevator and led her straight into the war room, where my engineers were gathered, 12 of the brightest minds in the country, looking like they hadn't slept in weeks. "This is Lena Torres," I announced. "She'll be consulting with us. Give her full access." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the room. Benjamin Cross, my lead architect, leaned back in his chair with a smirk. "Consulting, huh? Which firm are you from, Miss Torres? Or are you here on a lunch break from coding boot camp?" Lena froze, but I stepped forward, my voice cold. "Her credentials are that she has my confidence. Get her set up." The smirk faltered, but Ben gestured to a junior engineer to set up a terminal for her. Lena sat at a temporary desk in the corner surrounded by suspicious stares and dove into millions of lines of code like a surgeon entering an operating room. Hours passed. She barely blinked. She noticed details we'd all missed: millisecond timing discrepancies, subtle thread behavior that no one had flagged. She asked Ben for deeper server logs, kernel-level access. He scoffed. Absolutely not. We don't hand over root access to consultants, especially ones without a resume. Lena didn't argue. She just went back to her desk and built her own diagnostic tool, a custom script she named Cerberus. She ran it for 2 sleepless days, her desk covered in coffee cups and napkins scrawled with diagrams. I watched her from my office late at night, impressed by her quiet determination. On the 3rd night, she found it. It wasn't a glamorous bug buried in the AI core like my team had assumed. It was a flaw in an old library handling thousands of short-lived threads. The cleanup process would skip busy threads, leaving behind tiny ghost allocations. Over hours, those ghosts accumulated until the system choked. 3 lines of code could fix it. She saved everything logs proof and the fix in a folder marked Atlas Solution LT, her initials. She finally allowed herself 2 hours of sleep in a wellness room. She didn't know Ben had been watching her every keystroke. He'd planted spyware on her terminal, replicated her work, made a few cosmetic changes, and deleted her folder. By sunrise, he'd sent out an email to the entire executive board claiming victory. When Lena walked into the morning meeting ready to present her breakthrough, she froze. The board was clapping Ben on the back. "Brilliant work," one of them said. Ben grinned, projecting her code on the big screen as his own. Lena's face went pale. "That's mine," she said softly, but no one listened. Ben smirked. "Miss Torres, I know it's tempting to want a piece of history, but let's not get carried away. We have logs, commits, proof. This was my team's work." I looked at Lena, saw her shaking, saw the devastation in her eyes. She stammered about her diagnostic tool, her logs, her time-stamped folder. But Ben dismissed her like a child throwing a tantrum. The board moved on, applauding him, praising his leadership. I said nothing. But inside, a storm was brewing. That night, alone in my office, I started digging. I wasn't just a CEO, I was still a coder. I knew where to look. The folder was gone, but deletions leave fingerprints. I pulled the high-level command logs, and there it was, Ben's account issuing a force delete command, then clearing access logs. He'd tried to wipe his tracks, but missed the security audit trail. I recovered Lena's folder. Every file, every line of beautifully commented code. Her logs were time-stamped hours before Ben's breakthrough. By morning, I'd summoned the board and every senior engineer back to the war room. "This meeting," I said, standing by the massive display screen, "is not a celebration. It's a reckoning." Confused murmurs filled the room. Ben sat at the table, relaxed, confident. I pulled up Lena's folder on the big screen, the timestamps blazing like neon indictments. "The solution you all praised yesterday. It was written by Lena Torres at 3:32 a.m. Here's her diagnostic log. Her explanation. Every detail." Gasps echoed through the room. Ben's face drained of color. "This is absurd," he stammered. "She must have stolen our work." "Really?" I said calmly. "Then explain this." I highlighted the log entries showing his commands to delete her folder and clear the access logs. Silence fell like a hammer. "You weren't just a thief, Ben." I said, my voice low but lethal. "You tried to erase the truth. You gambled on no one looking this deep. You were wrong." No one spoke. Even his allies stared at him in disgust. I stepped closer. "You're fired. Effective immediately. Security is waiting outside." Ben didn't argue. He stood shoulders slumped and shuffled out a man stripped of everything. When the door closed, I looked at the stunned faces around the table. This company will change. No more arrogance. No more gatekeeping talent because it doesn't come in the right package. Lena saw the truth when all of you were lost in politics. That's the kind of mind we reward. Later, I found her in my office, standing by the window, still pale from the humiliation she'd endured. "It's over," I told her gently. "I found everything." Her shoulders trembled. I thought he'd destroyed it all. I shook my head. Good code like truth always leaves a trace. She looked at me exhausted and unsure. I smiled. The diner's losing a great waitress, Lena. But Titan just gained its new lead architect. I'm also creating a new division to keep this company honest. I want you to run it. Her lips parted in shock. I don't even have a degree. I chuckled. You have something better. You solved a billion-dollar problem when the best minds in the world couldn't. That's not something a diploma can teach. For the first time, she smiled. Then yes, she said firmly, I'll do it. That's how a waitress with a second-hand laptop became the architect who saved a tech empire. She didn't just fix a bug, she exposed a culture built on ego and forced it to change. And I'll tell you this, genius can come from anywhere. So what do you think? Was I too harsh on Ben? Or not harsh enough? Have you ever seen someone brilliant get overlooked because they didn't fit the mold? Share your thoughts below. I want to know your stories. And if this one inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and stick around. You never know where the next Lena Torres might be hiding.